It costs thousands of dollars for lenders to process a mortgage application. It's a time-consuming and often manual process to validate a borrower's income, property valuation, and other information. Ottawa entrepreneur Chris Grimes saw these shortcomings firsthand while working in the mortgage industry and knew there had to be a better way. But when is it time to take a great idea and turn it into a business? At what point does one leave the stability of a day job and go all in on a new venture? We'll be exploring these questions with Funmore this week on Techopia Live. Welcome to Techopia Live. I'm Peter Cavesi from the Ottawa Business Journal. We're joined today by Chris Grimes, the co-founder of Funmore.ai. Chris is fresh off taking home the Best Pitch Award in Invest Ottawa's Pre-Accelerator program. Congratulations and welcome, Chris.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we're also joined by Susan Richards from Number Crunch, one of the sponsors of Techopia Live. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Susan, let's start with you. Tell us about Number Crunch and how it works with local tech firms.
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks. So Number Crunch is back-end finance support team for companies. We're targeted at the tech sector, although we do help businesses in all sectors. And we provide bookkeeping, controller, CFO services, so fundraising support, forecasting, doing a lot of COVID-19 subsidy work right now. But we're here essentially to support entrepreneurs and from a financial perspective.
Okay, so we're going to come back and dig into your insights in just a moment. But Chris, let's swing it to you. Give us the pitch. What exactly is Funmore?
Funmore is a AI-driven underwriting platform designed to help lending institutions, in particular the mortgage lending space, to be able to help adjudicate their mortgage loans.
And how exactly does the platform work?
So we're able to ingest applications through a number of different functions, sometimes taking PDFs all the way to web forms, ingesting the application. We then go out and access data where possible to be able to confirm the conditions required to fund a mortgage. That information gets put into an algorithm customized for each lender, which then produces a approval recommendation. From there, we can generate documents and anything else required to fund a mortgage. That information then goes back out to the client, and what typically took 40 days, we can do in a few minutes now.
Okay. And now, what I found really interesting is that your background isn't necessarily in tech. Actually, you come from the mortgage industry. Tell me more about the path that you took to get here.
Yes, no tech background for me. I've been playing with computers since I can remember. Back when I was a kid, my parents first got me a Commodore 64. So I've been around computers, but understanding the coding side is over my head. I started in the banking world. From there, got into some wealth management. From there, progressed into mortgages. It's another story for another day, but I still don't know how I got that job. It just randomly appeared one day. Some guy calls me out of the blue, says, "You want to be a mortgage broker?" Sure. I don't know what that is, but let's do it. And so that was about almost 15 years ago now. From there, I've had different variations of mortgage teams here in Ottawa. And one thing led to another. We saw a shortfall in the market. In particular, in my team, we were trying to find a way of helping them become more efficient using technology. So we started scouring the globe looking for partners that we could, or technology that we could bring in to be able to make them more efficient, with the ultimate goal of really designing a full digital experience for a borrower. We realized that wasn't possible, that it didn't matter how many times we tried to replace people with technology at the beginning. There was something always missing. There was great technology out there, sort of siloed sections for each part of the mortgage process, but nothing that sort of aggregated it all together. And that's really how Funmore started. It started as a piece of, okay, well, we need this piece of information, let's go find it. We need this piece of information, let's go find it. Today we have several different companies on our platform that we believe are sort of best in class to be able to provide a lot of the conditions required to fund a mortgage. And then from there, we built out a small development team to fill in the gaps.
So I want to dig a little bit deeper into one part of your journey. When did you realize that this great idea that you had for helping the industry could stand as a viable business idea? When was it time to sort of leave the day job and go all in on this venture?
So for me, I guess it's probably been about 13 months or so when I jumped in full time and sort of stepped away. I guess I have a fantastic colleague that runs my mortgage side of my business now, so that was certainly helpful. But on the tech side, really, it was getting some early buy-in from some potential clients when we were out pitching the idea of Funmore before we really started investing on the technology side. Getting their buy-in, starting to understand what they needed from a product if we were to build it. And so that was probably the biggest catalyst in moving full time.
Okay. Susan, you have the opportunity to work with many members of Ottawa's entrepreneurial community. Tell me a little bit about what you see. When is it generally time to take or to graduate a passion project and really make that the basis of a business?
Well, it sounds like Chris was a good example of when you do that, when you know that you've got something that is valuable more to others as well as yourself. So I love the solutions that come from somebody who is working in industry and saw a need, couldn't find a solution, created it. So although maybe didn't have the technology background, certainly knew the customer situation, the profile, and then also went out to validate it. So sometimes you don't necessarily do that because you may be validating with your competitor if you started as a service-based company to begin with. But if you have a product that can go global and solves the need of like an easily understood need of a client, and you can speak their language, and you're feeling your sleepless nights because you're really eager to provide that solution, you know you're onto something, and it's a good kind of sleepless night, then I think that's a great time to go forward. There's a lot of products that are created out of technology first and not necessarily knowing the client needs, and then you get a lot of wasted features. So this is a great a way to think about your situation. Global is required, though, typically from a tech-enabled business profile. To create a solution that serves the local or even just Canadian market is not going to generate likely the user base that you need in order to create a sustainable company. Because from a technology standpoint, once you build that product, it's almost as expensive to maintain it and continue to build out solutions. So you have to always be growing that user base. But Chris would be a great example of that, knowing the space and having a global play and it's solving needs, adding efficiency to a market.
Just sort of staying on that and looking at how startups often take that next step. You've been a trusted advisor to many companies, particularly in the SaaS space, in helping them grow. What are some of the first steps in order to sort of scaling up a venture once you have it up and running?
Well, I think that the key thing between startup and scale up is repeatable. So it almost has to get to the stage where everything's like semi-automated. You still may be hacking things behind the scenes. Maybe it's not quite as automated as you're telling people it is, but it has to pretty much feel like the processes that you're doing are very repeatable. So your customer acquisition has to be extremely efficient. You have to be, it's a lot of marketing at that point where your audience can easily find you, or you're getting in front of them, they discover you, and the onboarding process is quite simple and repeatable. The solution itself works at scale. So a lot of prep work to get yourself ready for that scale, because at that point, especially when you're looking at investor support, typically technology companies are cash hungry, and to attract investment and even secure operational loans, you want to show that you have a rapid revenue escalation. So repeatable, I think, is a key thing.
Okay. Chris, I want to swing back to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the team that you've assembled as part of Funmore?
Yeah, for sure. So early on, I pitched this to who's my co-founder, Dinesh Kananchada. He's been in the tech space most of his career, although on the sales side. successfully exited several businesses. So he'd been around this before. So we worked on a previous project in another company. I had another service-based company in the past, and I came to him with an idea which was not Funmore, to be honest. It was a completely different idea. He liked it. We got involved. We started building out some technology, realized that maybe the market really wasn't there for what we had started to build. One thing led to another, a bunch of pivots later, and Funmore exists today. He also introduced me to our CTO, who Bogdan Blaga, AI engineer, and then he's built out our development team. So we have 7 developers now, and then I brought in a colleague and long-term friend from previous businesses, and we've known each other since high school. And frankly, I think we've worked together on 4 businesses in the past. Daryl Bandoro. So he's my COO now in Funmore. So he came on this year.
Great. And I mentioned off the top that you're fresh off an Invest Ottawa program. Tell me what the next step is for Funmore.
So for us, we're actually part of their accelerator program in some extent. I guess is the next phase from winning the pitch competition. So that entitles us to a few hours of advisory counsel and things like that. We're also in a consulting opportunity with Michael Hyatt, and other than that, our main focus right now is getting out and getting clients to be able to further test and trial our platform to get their feedback in real life environment rather than the sort of internal testing that we've been doing for the past few months.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited to be following the journey as Funmore does start that testing and landing those first few clients. So thank you so much for joining us, Chris. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And thank you very much, Susan, as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Before I let you go, I just want to take a moment to thank all of our great sponsors, without whom this show would not be possible. We have NumberCrunch, offering virtualized CFO services for SaaS companies. Pearlie Robertson, Hill & McDougall, a leader in business and tech law. TD Bank, with specialized programs for tech firms. The University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, creating the next generation of technical talent. And Stratford Managers, providing services to help you scale your tech venture. Techopia Live is not just this great show. We're also publishing articles daily on obj.ca/Techopia. You can find us on social media at Techopia OTT. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. That's it for this week on Techopia Live. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.